Hey guys, it's Rachel here with Senza Tempo Cane Corso, and I wanted to share some information with you guys that I've learned. Um, this is going to be kind of lengthy and it's going to involve a lot of information, so just keep that in mind, okay? All right, here we go. So, this comes from a study that I read having to do with the genetic history of dogs in Italy. Um, and yeah, so here we go. So I've highlighted the areas in red that are important. And I will list all these studies below so you can read everything. I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm just trying to, for time's sake, try to keep things quick. Okay, so the American Cane Corso diverged from the Neapolitan Mastiff between 65 and 69 years ago, while the Italian population split 80 to 85 years ago. Written breed history argues that there was a strong effort to rescue what remained of the European Neapolitan Mastiff after World War II through implementation of a strict breeding program. Club 2012, our data demonstrated that the modern Neapolitan Mastiff is genetically the same breed regardless of geography, meaning that both populations, because that's what they did with this study, is they compared the Italian population and the American population for 3 separate breeds, and that was the Italian Greyhound, the Cane Corso, and the Neo Mastiff. So, American and Italian populations of Cane Corsos suggest a divergence of approximately 93 years ago. And that this breed also underwent a reconstruction after World War II. This divergence may reflect the presence of Cane Corsos in America prior to the breed resurrection, or the effect of a migration bottlenecked with distinct lineages. Okay? So what we're seeing here is that there is a clear difference between the Cane Corsos in Italy and the Cane Corsos in America as far as their divergence from the Neo-Mastiffs. And this is what they're talking about here. This is the divergence they're talking about. So these are all the breeds and how they've all come down through, they've done all this genetic testing on them. So we can see when they come off of common ancestors. And so I believe that the way that this is that this is called, what is this one called? This is called, I believe this is called a cluster. So let's see here. There's a Cane Corso. This is called a cluster. I believe it's called a cluster. I could be wrong. And I think that these individual ones are a clad, okay? Because what we're finding, and I'll show you here, you see the Cane Corso and then the Neo Mastiff. And you can see here that they're separate, right? They were evolved separately from each other, okay? And you'll hear people say, oh, they were the same breed, they were the same breed. No, they were not. And now we know proof genetically they were not. They have a common ancestor, that they do, which we know about all breeds, right? All breeds were, you know, they all started off from the same source, just like people, okay? Just like people. We all migrated, we all changed, and became more genetically diverse just through, just through the process. Now we're going to do this. This is a separate study, and I will link it below. In comparison, so, and like I said, that they were showing the different breeds versus where they come from, and then in the United States, and like the different gene pools, okay? So in comparison, the Cane Corsos from Italy form a single clade, while the Cane Corsos from the United States cluster with the Neo Mastiffs also collected in the United States. Significant shared haplotypes are observed between the U.S. Cane Corsos and the Rottweiler that are not evident in the Italian Cane Corsos, as well as increased shared haplotypes with other Mastiffs. Cane Corsos have been in the United States for less than 30 years. Now, And that's the American Kennel Club. Okay, that's why they're sourcing the American Kennel Club, because that's what they're basically saying. So what we can see here is what I had said, which is that the Cane Corsos in America have a lot in common with Rottweilers. There are people that are breeding dogs that, honest to God, look just like Rottweilers. And if they were honest with themselves about it, they would actually see it. Now, let me be very clear. Not all American bred dogs or dogs that have American lines look like Rottweilers, okay? There were Cane Corsos brought in here originally. The problem is that people bred for what they like. So they bred in Rottweiler, they bred in Neo-Mastiff, they liked that look and they kept breeding for it. And then you had people saying that it was correct, saying that the Cane Corso really was the old Neo-Mastiff and that it actually was the same breed and therefore should look the same. But now we know that's not true. Now we know that's not true. Okay? Genetically, proof, we know that's not true. And so my problem is with the breeders that refuse to accept reality, which, and let me be very clear with you, what I'm fixing to show you in a second is what I had considered proof of already, okay? I didn't need to have this stuff to tell me that those Roddy types and those Neo types were not correct, okay? But this does help. These are 2017 studies. This is new information, okay? New information. So, and then I also wanted to share with you haplotype, right? So I just wanted to show what it means by that is a haplotype is a group of alleles in an organism that are inherited together from a single parent. The other use of the term first can be used for a collection of specific alleles, that is specific DNA sequences in a cluster of tightly linked genes on a chromosome that are likely to be inherited together. Okay. So this is basically genetic. What we're saying is that the American Corsos shared increased shared haplotypes, or no, pardon me. Where is it? Significant shared haplotypes are observed between the U.S. and the Cane Corso and the Rottweiler. Significant. That's obviously a lot. All right. So we know that now, right? So we know that there's basically Rottweiler in there. Now, I'll be very clear with you. I've never denied the fact that we do believe that there was Boxer and Bull Mastiff bred into the Cane Corso. We know that because the SACCS did it to breed towards the underbite. Okay, so we know this. And breeding dogs that look like Boxers is just as bad as breeding dogs that look like Rottweilers. So let's be clear on that, okay? So now we're going to get into some history, all right? I will provide a link to this as well. This is an interview with Dr. Berber, and he's the one who laid the groundwork to secure the dogs for the resurrection of the breed, or the preservation of the breed, I should say. So in 1983, the year I was born, yay, in collaboration with Gandolfi and Malavasi, brothers began the reselection of the breed and formed a breed club, SACCS. In 1986, he left over a dispute over what is the correct bite, okay? He did not believe that the dogs should have the underbite. Now, he's the one who did the first breeding. Let's go, let's see here. Okay, could you describe those original rustic dogs, Downo, Brina, Elliot, whatever, I'm not saying those names right, but that's fine. So he's talking about the bite on those dogs, talking about what they were like. They came out homogeneous, despite the fact that the dogs didn't look. Now, Downo, this is the one I wanted to show you, was a very fine dog. Okay, that's what he says. All right, let's take a look at him. Okay, so well, first let's take a look, because this is what I did. Elliot and Mrak were the first dogs that he bred. Okay, I'm probably butchering these dogs' names. Very sorry about that. So they were very different. He describes what they were like, but these are the dogs that he selected to start the program with. Okay, so first off, this is the Elliot dog. Okay, that's him, not a Neo. Very light dog. And this is Mrak. Now you tell me if that doesn't look familiar. Looks like a Cane Corso, doesn't it? To me, looks like in my opinion, that's a beautiful dog. She may not have been perfect. Maybe it wasn't the angle, but in my opinion, you know, she looked like a real pretty dog. So then we have their offspring. Look familiar? That's Downo. Said he was a very fine dog. Very fine dog. Okay? So the person in charge of gathering the dogs and the research to resurrect the breed, his opinion was that this was a very nice dog. Okay? What does that tell you? Does this look like a Neo? Do you see a bunch of skin hanging down? Does it look like a Rottweiler? No, it doesn't. So this is the pedigree of the dog that everybody basically knows, Bazir. Most people can recognize that dog right there. He's the son of Downo, right here, right? This dog that we just spoke about, right here, okay? And off these two dogs. So we got Mrak and Elliot had Downo, and then we got Pickett, which I have a bigger picture of him so you can see. You see there? You see that short muzzle? This is this is an old dog, I will say that, and he did admit that he was very old. And yet, here we have Brina. She was a sister, a littermate sister to him. We have here Tipsy. Well, who does that look like? Does that look like Blondie to you? Anyway, so and then we have Bazir, right? So we've got the balanced muzzle. We got the bit shorter, broader with a little bit of a pointer. So we've got this muzzle here. And just for reference, there's that head type. Who does that look like? Who does that look like to you? That right there is basically for everyone the model of a Cane Corso. And it was present within the, second generation, third? I mean, look at this. I mean, this is literally a 3-generation pedigree. We're really a 4-generation pedigree, but I mean, this is still present up here. And yet, it's here. The type is here, okay? And we know that this is what we're looking for because the guy in charge of bringing the breed back commented that Downo was a very fine dog. Well, that's what he looked like, right? This is what he looked like. And this is Bazir, okay? Looks like he was refining the type to me. Looks like he knew what he was looking for to me. And it looks like these dogs have existed for a long time to me. Okay? This is correct breed type. Right? This is before anybody started mixing in Boxer or Bull Mastiff. Let's be very clear about that. This was his creation. He was against the underbite. So we know he's not the one who put the Boxer and Bull Mastiff in. He left the organization because they wanted to put the Boxer and the Bull Mastiff in. Okay? Let's be very clear about that. So these are not this is not the result. This is not the result of a Boxer. Okay? Not the result of a Boxer. And if I'm not mistaken, this female was undershot. So having an undershot bite is not indicative to just having Boxer. It was already present. The issue was whether or not it was considered correct. And he didn't believe it was. He considered it a fault. Wherever you stand on that, that's your own personal preference, but that was his opinion. So, so then he was asked about the Neo Mastiff. He was asked, I cut this off up here, but I'll show you I'll have the link at the bottom. Do you think the Neapolitan Mastiff and the Cane Corso share common ancestor? Well, the Neapolitan Mastiff is something very different, of course, and they're both molossus dogs like the Boxer or Rottweiler. They all belong to the same category. I don't think there's a very close relationship because the Neo Mastiff is such a highly specialized dog. Even the Neo Mastiff, if you look at the dogs they had in the 50s, they weren't so exaggerated in their characteristics. They didn't have those very long flews and dewlap, which I think is a hindrance to the capacity of the dog to move around and act normally. So we know now that even the guy that was in charge of recreating the breed, or not recreating, but saving the breed, even said they're not the same. They're not even close. So, I'm trying to preserve a breed. I'm not trying to act like an expert. I'm not trying to act like a know-it-all. I am trying to provide you with the information that I have so that you can understand why I feel the way that I do and why I'm breeding my program in the way that I do. I truly believe that Preacher is an excellent representation of a dog like Bazir. I genuinely do. Are they perfectly the same? No, they're not. But there is enough of a resemblance there for me to believe that that's correct type. All right. Look at the ribs here. Right. This is some excellent structure here, y'all. It really is excellent structure here. So, is he a little weak in the rear? Yes, he is. You know what I mean? He could be a little bit thicker. That's actually a real problem in the breed. A lot of people have, but nonetheless, this is what we were looking for. And not to mention, this really wasn't even the best picture of him. It's overexposed, and it actually doesn't show that he was actually kind of leaning into this. Like I had another picture that was even better, but it's kind of not the best angle, unfortunately. And when they drew the dog that was in that standard, they included this kind of thin thigh, which personally I think is a fault. I think they should have more muscling in the rear. But nonetheless, still a very typey, a very beautiful dog. So that's my personal journey. That's my opinion. That's my theory. Some of this is fact, as in this stuff here is fact. This is indisputable. It's 2017 genetic research. They did not do a breakdown of what is in the Italian Cane Corso. I looked, believe me, I wanted to see what's in there because we do know that there's other stuff in there. We know it because nobody hid it. They were very clear, the SACCS, that the fact that they were doing it. So, which is why he left. You know what I mean? So, they said that they said that they needed it to preserve genetic diversity because there weren't enough dogs. So anyway, that's enough of that. That's my little saying on that. I'm not supporting any extreme type. I'm not saying that the boxer look is better than the Rottweiler look, or that the boxer look is better than the Neo look. I'm not saying any of them. I'm saying that if your dog doesn't look like this, like a Cane Corso, then start changing your program. Start changing your program to look like a Cane Corso, because that's what they should look like. And there's not a coincidence that this dog right here keeps popping up. You know it when you see it. Those people that are honest, you know it when you see it. When this type comes up, you know it. Okay? So, let's be honest with each other. Let's try to preserve the breed and stop being selfish and being petty, because it doesn't serve a purpose. Right? It just doesn't. If you're going to breed, you need to preserve, and you need to be honest with yourself. All right? That's it. I'm out. Have a good night. Bye.